My name is KD Hill, former SEC football player at Ole Miss. Now I'm an inspirational speaker and the author of the book, The Uphill Climb, The KD Hill Story. I was on my way back from Huntsville, Alabama at 4:40 a.m. and it was raining that morning. We lost control and wasn't able to correct the truck and ran into a tree. The first person to arrive on the scene was the state trooper. He went to my brother's side at first because he thought I was pronounced dead at the scene due to the way the truck was when they made impact with the tree. And I was the only person that was awake at the time from being knocked out from the impact of the truck and the tree. And I remember saying, "Officer," I said, "can you come to my side?" The officer walked around the back of the truck. I looked out at the mirror and he said, "Sir, can you tap the mirror?" I tapped it 3 times. And when he walked away, I called him back. I said, "Sir," I said, "can you hold my hand and let's pray?" And you're probably wondering, how can this young man say, "Can you hold my hand and let's pray?" Because my whole life, that's all I knew who to call on. I've seen my mom do it numerous times. I've seen my grandparents do it. And I knew that's what I had to do. And so in that moment, I told God, I said, "Although I can't see you, I trust you. I trust you with my life. You brought me this far." And in situations like that, you could turn to him or turn away from him. And I knew that he was going to be with me and guide me. And I knew that I was still there for a purpose because I still had breath in my lungs. Although I was missing one leg, that didn't change anything because I knew that God knew that I would be stronger with one than two. He knew the people that I would impact with this one leg, far greater than what I've done on the football field, because football was just a platform to glorify him. It wasn't who I was, it was what I did. It actually equipped me to what I was going to go through. Because the EMTs that were on the scene said, if you had not been in the shape you were in, you probably would have died, because I had 2 blood transfusions on the scene. And if you know that in the Bible, in the book of the Proverbs, it talks about the righteous will not be uprooted when the storm begins to blow. And so my root was so deep into the ground, I had a firm foundation. So when the storm blew, I was not uprooted. I knew exactly what I needed to do, and that was to call on God and to trust him. I had 7 total surgeries. Took 5 hours for them to get me out the truck. Not once did I shed a tear. Once I made it to the hospital, after they amputated my leg on the scene, I woke up to my mom with the Bible in her hand. First thing I said, "Mama," I said, "I made it." When they told me they were going to amputate my leg, I said, "Let's do it." Wasn't worried about football because I knew what good is a story without adversity. I had to go through some type of adversity. Just because you make it over one mountain don't mean there won't be a next mountain. There's another mountain. After I told my mom I made it, I saw the Bible. I said, "Mama, feed my spirit." Why did he say feed his spirit in such a time as this? Because I understood in this next chapter of my life, my spirit had to be fed. It couldn't be malnourished. After my 4th surgery, I made a video. And in that video, I said I got the heart of a lion. Because we all know lions are known as the king of the jungle. No matter if he's injured or wounded, he licks his wounds and he keep walking. And that is why I say I got the heart of a lion. Because no matter if I got one leg or no legs, I'm going to get the job done. My mom, I like to tell a lot of individuals, if I got the heart of a lion, I had to get it from a lioness. That's my mama. I watched my mama my whole life raise me up as a single parent. Not once did she complain. She made it to every single practice. She believed in me before I believed in myself. I grew up without my father. So for me to be the father that I am today is because of my mama. And I thank my father for not being in my life because he taught me who to be and who not to be. At that moment, my son was 4 months old when my accident happened. And I understood that one day he was going to face some type of adversity. And so what do I look like running away from it when my son is going to have to encounter it? And so I had to face it head on, knowing that my son was dependent on me, not just my son, but my family. Not just my family, but my future kids and my friends. And one thing I always know, the creator knows his product. He knows exactly what his product needs to get out of his comfort zone, to be everything that he created him to be, that he created her to be. And so since then, I just been inspiring the world, and I don't like to call myself a motivational speaker because motivation dies. I'm an inspirational speaker. I inspire others. I empower others, and I let them know that if I can do it, you can do it too. What you go through isn't for you, but it's for someone else. Learn to minister through your misery. Know how to give back to others and be a blessing to others when you're catching hell. Just because you're catching hell don't mean you have to be hell to someone else. Do not let that bad moment lead to a bad day. Know how to pour into others when you're not feeling well, because we're here to be servants. We're here to put others before us. And that is what we're supposed to do, love one another. And once you learn how to do that, life will be okay. Real faith isn't not having zero doubts. Real faith is trusting God with your doubts. Now, with that faith, faith isn't going to always be up here. Faith is sometimes going to be here. Faith is sometimes going to be there. But that is why he tells us to have faith the size of a mustard seed. Because with this faith, it's going to be the shovel that moves that mountain. You may dig more the next day than you did the day before. But as long as you're digging, as I would like to say, 1% better each day, you will get there. Just don't do nothing. Because if you don't do nothing, you will never get there. So always remember, you either getting better or you getting worse. You never stay the same.